Well, I just found out that a federal court just allowed for numerous more delays in the Trans Mountain Pipeline build-out. Um, what's even more shocking is not only did Trudeau allow this to happen by not accelerating these appeals to the Supreme Court or whatever, but get this. His justice minister, and Trudeau himself, didn't even bother to file anything, any sort of opinion with the court. And this is sort of standard practice for the government to do. So Trudeau and his justice minister, you'll remember he's the one that got put in place to, after Jody Wilson-Raybould was kicked out for standing up to him. They didn't even bother to file an opinion on this. So think about this for a second. Justin Trudeau spent $7 billion of your tax dollars on a pipeline that we haven't even seen a single inch built of yet, even though the private sector was supposed to build it, but then his government spent the last 4 years putting things like Bill C-69 and C-48 and all of these things that basically killed pipelines in Canada, but he spent $7 billion on it and then couldn't even be bothered to get out of bed to file an opinion with the court, knowing that there was a high degree of likelihood, I'm sure they knew this, that there was going to be appeals. So what does this tell us? I'll tell you what this tells me. Justin Trudeau has no intention of building this pipeline, but spent $7 billion. And think about that. Think about how many schools or roads or hospitals or LRTs could have been built with that, to simply kick this issue down the road past the election. So if you're watching this and you're like, well, Michelle, I hate pipelines. Pipelines are terrible. You and I are just going to disagree. But I got to tell you something. Justin Trudeau's not your guy either, because he actually spent so much money to build this thing and had no intention of building it, and then isn't intervening. Like, you can't trust him on this issue. Like this, I can't even believe this. So if you're watching from anywhere outside of Alberta, look, the energy sector provides jobs and prosperity for the whole country. But think about how frustrating it is for somebody in Alberta who has been out of work for years now because of Trudeau and his policies, to find out that not only has he allowed more delays and obstruction, but he couldn't even be bothered to write an opinion or do his job. Like, can you imagine if this was a auto plant? I'm in Windsor today. Can you imagine if there was a manufacturing plant in southwestern Ontario that had this sort of a saga with it? I would be outraged. I'd be outraged as an Albertan, because I understand that we want strong industry in every part of the country. You guys have to care about this from coast to coast to coast. This guy can't be trusted. Couldn't even be bothered to write an opinion. This is bananas. I'm going to tell you one thing. For the last 4 years, there's only been one party in the House of Commons that has stood up day after day after day, fighting Trudeau on this, forcing him to take action, motion after motion, debate after the debate, and that's the Conservative Party of Canada. And why? Because we believe that this sector creates jobs and prosperity for the whole country. It produces energy in a clean, ethical, sustainable way that can help displace energy products from jurisdictions around the world that don't have our environmental standards. It can create an investment capacity for the development of clean technology. But to deny our own product access to world markets while allowing and incenting products from Saudi Arabia to come in, to the benefit of a couple of few wealthy families in Canada, is ridiculous. That's bananas, and it has to stop. So what are we going to do to fix this? Well, first of all, we're not going to obfuscate like Justin Trudeau is. My party has the political will to build this pipeline, and we've shown that day after day over the last 4 years, fighting this guy in the House of Commons, being the voice for the workers in this industry, and indeed all Canadians who benefit from this sector. But we've also got a strong plan, right? We were the party that introduced legislation around bringing this entirely into federal jurisdiction. We've been advocating for court cases like this to be accelerated up to the Supreme Court. And we've got a plan to build a Canadian energy corridor. And certainly we're not going to, just sit back and let the political winds of, special interest groups dictate the economic interests of our country. And that's called leadership. And Justin Trudeau doesn't have that. And I'm furious on behalf of my constituents. And, I would hope all Canadians are furious about this today, too. Couldn't even be bothered to write an opinion. That alone, on top of everything else that he's done, disqualifies him from being Prime Minister of this country. Working hard for you. Have a great day.